I'm a bit late. I've got some bronchitis going on. You can probably hear from my gnarly growl. So it's going to be a little bit, maybe a shorter stream tonight. We'll see. But we're going to go over some news in a sec. If you're new here, what we typically do, and by we, I mean me. It's literally me in my apartment. We're going to do some jokes in a sec. Like a little opening monologue, and then we'll kind of catch you up to date on today's news. There's some stuff breaking on Twitter, and then we'll go over some big stories from today and from the weekend. Okay? So let me open up. Let me see if I can get the chats going from TikTok. We're on TikTok tonight, I believe. But it's being really annoying. Like it won't let me, you can't get the chats through Restream. And then there's like, God, it won't let me log in through Google Chrome. It's being weird. So let's see if we could go here maybe. Activity center. Live, can we see it here? Okay, I don't know what's going on with that. Let's go here, get the chat. Oh my gosh. TikTok, by the way, is acting super strange right now. I think that they did the sale with Oracle, I guess it is. And so they switched companies, so everything's really like, I don't know if they're changing over the algorithm or what's happening, but like the videos, when you go to post them, they don't post. And the live's acting kind of glitchy too. So we'll see. Hold on. Okay. All right, I got the chat going, I think. We'll kind of keep that up. All right, if you're just joining, I'm also a little bit sick. I got some bronchitis. So we'll see how this goes. Got some jokes coming up. Let's get started. Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. Well, a winter storm is expected to dump 16 inches of ice on New York City. Yeah, unfortunately, thousands are expected to die when they reflexively protest. Yeah. They're just used to it. They tried telling the storm they were a sanctuary city, but the ice still came in. It's a rough one for New York City. Well, a Somalian woman is being mocked online for saying being Somalian is like eating bananas and rice. Yeah, she later clarified that's only if both the bananas and the rice were stolen. Minor clarification. Well, a protester in Minnesota was seen blowing his fingers off, attempting to throw a flashbang grenade at federal officers. Yeah, apparently it was the first instance of a fingerbang being deployed in combat. Yeah. Those fingerbangs are dangerous. You gotta be very careful with them. Okay, let's go here. Is anybody here up in the TikTok? TikTok's acting super weird right now. Anyways, I was saying earlier, they just sold it to Oracle. I'm hoping it'll be good, actually, because I get censored like crazy on TikTok. Like everything I post, I have viral videos that get literally 1.2 million views on Instagram. I post them on TikTok, and it calls them misinformation and censors it. Like nobody could see it. So I always see all these other creators, they're like going viral on TikTok. They're like doing all this stuff. I'm still like, I get 800 views because they censor it. So it's kind of crazy. But anyways, what do we got going on here? Let's go over some news and stuff. Let me pull up Twitter. This this? This is what I need. Do we have a microphone? That's a good question. This should be working. Should be working, so I think we're good. Okay. Let's get this a little bit bigger. That's fine. Okay, so here's the update with Minnesota. It looks like Mario Nawful on Twitter is reporting Minnesota State Patrol moves in to arrest protesters. Now, this is new, right? We haven't had any Minnesota PD, Border Patrol, anything, doing anything with the protesters. So far, they've been hanging ice out to dry.
I'm on level 12 news.
I can't hear you.
I'm on level 12 news. BG on the scene. I'm just
so,
you don't have any press?
Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, apparently called Trump today. I guess they're a little bit kind of caving in, basically, after the Alex Peretti. I think his name's Peretti. I'm not 100% sure. I keep misspelling it. But the second protester was shot this past weekend. I think things are reaching a little bit of a tipping point where Tim Walz is a little too uncomfortable with this level of heat going on. So he finally called Trump. Here they're reporting here. Actually, I'll just pull up the tweet. This is Trump's tweet on it. He says, Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him. Tom Homan. We'll talk about him in a sec. And that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. And I'll explain that in a sec. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. This is Tom Homan right here. Okay, here's wait, I want this. Here's Tom Homan. This guy, some of you may be familiar.
How many women aren't being raped? How many children aren't dying making that journey? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked into this country every day? How many known suspected terrorists aren't just walking across that border? President Trump and this administration is saving thousands of lives every month. Hard stop.
I love Tom Homan, by the way. He's just a very no-nonsense person. And like I've never seen in all the interviews where they had with him, I was trying to find some of his older interviews where they're asking him about the border, and like leftist news organizations will try to press him on it, and he just goes hard. He just doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, we're going to deport all the illegal criminals. I don't really care. He reminds me of like, he's very avuncular. You know, he reminds me of like a hard, tough ass uncle that you had as a kid that just like says things like they are. I love that about him. But anyways, I think what's going down is basically Trump shaking things up. He's doing the firing thing from Apprentice. Basically, he was unhappy with Bovino. Bovino is the head of the Border Patrol. As you probably know, Border Patrol was kind of handling all the protest situations in Minnesota recently. And they had that incident over the weekend where the guy was shot. From what I understand, Trump was not happy with how Kristi Noem kind of came out and immediately declared the guy who got shot as a domestic terrorist and kind of framed it as just being completely his fault. I think Trump was really unhappy about that. So he's shaking things up. Bovino's actually been pulled, and the Border Patrol has been pulled from Minnesota. And now Tom Homan, who's kind of like the head of ICE, head of deportations, is being sent in to change things up and handle things differently. And I like that about Trump, too. He's not afraid to shake things up if he's not happy with something, if something isn't working, right? We'll get to the shooting in a second. I do have some thoughts on that. But if you're not familiar with Tom Homan, you may recognize him here. He takes a lot of flack in the press. This is actually him in 2015 receiving, received an award. Oh gosh, I have the name of the award here. The 2015 Presidential Rank Award is what he received under President Barack Obama for his efficient work with 920,000 deportations. And there's Obama happily awarding him a medal for his brave work with the deportations. Of course, you might not realize this photo exists because right now the Democrat press has framed it as if he's a monster and the head of the Gestapo. But turns out just a short time ago, Democrats were actually awarding him medals for his work. This is one of the running themes of tonight's show, which is, you know, there's a lot of people talking about how the protests in Minnesota are astroturfed, right? A lot of people mentioning that they're paid protesters. I think there's a very much simpler way to astroturf the protests, because if you've seen my recent videos on Instagram, I do believe that they're inauthentic. It's not like these protests organically spring up, in other words. But there's an easier way than paying protesters. I'm sure there are some paid agitators in there. I don't doubt that. But the main mechanism by which protests are chosen and astroturfed is that the media functions as a magnifying glass. Okay? So you've probably seen there's like memes online of all of the Democrat politicians will start to say the same things at the same time, right? Like verbatim. Like as if they got a memo, right? That's sort of where it starts whenever one of these protests arises, right? Democrats get the memo. They choose which issues they're going to focus on before the elections. We have a big midterm election coming up in less than a year, right? So they've decided they're going to focus on ICE protests, right? That's the big issue that they're going to form a wedge with. Now they have their messaging, and then that gets disseminated through the mainstream media. So it's simply by the mainstream media choosing which stories to focus on, give attention to, slant coverage on, that boosts these protests in the same way that BLM was chosen in 2020, in the same way that abortion was chosen in 2022, and so on and so forth, right? It's the media and their magnifying glass that actually astroturfs the protests. In other words, there is organic emotion behind them, right? But those people who are protesting didn't choose this. The topic was chosen for them. And in another 2 years, another topic will be chosen for them. And that is the way, the mechanism by which the media astroturfs the protests. And then the other big theme for tonight, which we'll get into, is leftists have morphed into the imaginary Gestapo that they so feared. But in any case, what are we talking about here? Let's talk about the Alex Peretti shooting. Let me see if I can get some chat up here. What do you guys think about that? Was the guy in the wrong? Was he murdered in cold blood? What do we think about Alex Peretti? Any thoughts? No thoughts on Alex Peretti? I think, let me see if I have any kind of video of it or anything. I think Sean Strickland gets it right, actually. Sean Strickland's a UFC fighter. Mostly says really dumb stuff, but every once in a while he gets it right. Here's Sean Strickland's tweet on it. Let me pull it up. So he says, I don't think Peretti should have been shot. But if you carry and react the way he did, you will get shot 100% of the time. This is a Sean Strickland impression. Cops get drawn on all the time. I know this and keep my hands far away from my holster. This is CCW 101. The 2A is a right and also a responsibility, which is kind of my take on it, you know? I mean, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like the cops had a right necessarily to shoot him. It does look like some sort of an accident happened. I've watched this video, by the way, multiple times, multiple different speeds. I still don't know exactly what happened. I mean, it looks like the guy is, first of all, he's not a protester, right? Don't call him that. He's actually physically assaulting federal agents. He's physically interfering with an arrest. Then they pepper spray the guy. He goes to the ground. He's apparently resisting arrest. Now, if you're a CCW holder, the first thing they teach you in all these classes is you have a responsibility, right? And particularly if you're ever dealing with law enforcement. They usually go over this in classes. It's a good idea if you get pulled over and you have your CCW on you. Just let the officer know. Like, hey, just so you know, I'm a CCW holder. I have my gun. It's here. I won't reach for it. I just want you to be safe, right? This guy does the opposite of that, which is, I don't have any problem with somebody bringing a gun to a protest or anywhere, right? That's their right to bring a gun somewhere, right? Concealed carry. But to me, this guy is a victim of his own idiocy. You know, if you bring in 1,000 men and they're all armed with a concealed gun, and you tell them to go interrupt arrests and basically push back and forth with federal officers and resist arrest, I'll bet you a solid 10% of them get shot. Not because they deserved it, but just because you're putting yourself in Pandora's box, right? You're putting yourself in a bad situation where anything can happen, and it's the exact opposite of how someone would typically behave who has a concealed carry permit. You know, people have to be responsible with those things. So I do think that some sort of an accident happened. I don't think the guy deserved, quote unquote, to be shot. But I don't think he did himself any favors by going into, you know, a violent protest, basically, confronting federal officers, shoving them, and then, you know, still struggling on the ground when you have a concealed gun. That's just stupidity. So to me, he's a victim of his own stupidity. This is Darwin level. And it's hard for me to have remorse seeing those actions, you know. So that's my take on the Peretti shooting. Here's something. We're going to pivot a little bit here. So Kash Patel is saying that they're going to, basically, if you don't know, they found all these, Cam Higbee, I guess, is a reporter, and he infiltrated all these Signal group chats. Hold on one sec, let me pull it up here. So apparently all of the Minnesota ICE protesters were a part of this. Oh, come on. Let me try to copy it. Hold up. Oh, stupid. Click. It's a little hard because I have this set up. There we go. It's to do with how I have the chat set up. It's difficult on TikTok. But basically, this reporter infiltrated this group Signal chat where all of the Minnesota protesters were on Signal, which is like a Telegram app almost, where they believe that all of their messages are encrypted and no one can find them. So apparently they were organizing, and lots of people are calling this, saying it looks like an insurgency, right? Like it looks like a terror cell, the way that they're organizing. So all of the people who are in the chat have little emojis next to their name that designates like what their position is within the organization. Like the cars, the mobile patrol, there's stationary patrols, foot patrols, there's dispatch who calls in, like ICE reportings. Apparently they have access to like a license plate database, right? So these people are very organized. And Kash Patel is actually saying they're going to investigate the Signal chat now for any potential wrongdoing. These guys are already splitting from the group chat. Everyone's leaving. But this was, I guess, at some point, Cam Higbee was driving with another female reporter through Minnesota, and his license plate must have popped up. One sec. His license plate must have popped up on their Signal chat as being an ICE license plate. So this was what happened with him and the protesters here. Again, these are the two reporters who infiltrated the Signal chat. These people believe they're actually ICE, probably because they have the reporter's license plate somehow in their directory. Right?
I'm showing my face. I'm not.
We've come to you. We're not ICE. Yeah, they've been following us for over an hour. We're not ICE. We're just letting them know, and they.
Not in an ICE vehicle, right?
No.
Right.
Right, get in your truck and get the fuck out. Why? Because you need to go. Confirmed ICE. Get the fuck out.
Confirmed ICE through who? We're American citizens. We're not ICE.
These are the people that you're abducting. Get out. Please go.
Because they've been following us for over an hour.
Why are you guys here? What are you here doing? Why are you guys here? Where do you live? Yeah, where are you from?
The protest is public property. What are you talking about?
Now, what does it sound like when a group of people hunts people down, trying to identify them, demands that they leave certain neighborhoods, and demands that they show their papers, show their ID, right? Does that sound to you guys like it might be what you would call a Gestapo. So this is my other big running theme of the night, as you can see here from this video. The left is actually so worked themselves up over the imaginary Gestapo that they believe ICE to be, that they have in fact morphed into a Gestapo force. Here they are literally demanding that citizens of the US leave certain neighborhoods that they don't live in, and that they show ID to prove that they're in a group they're comfortable being around, one of their preferred people, right? So, and you can see they're very violent. I mean, one guy is yelling at them. They're literally demanding that this woman who's speaking to them shows her IDs to them. They're following them around, stalking them through town. They belong to Signal group chats where they coordinate this type of activity to follow people around, to shake them down, to ask them for papers. So this looks a lot like an actual Gestapo versus ICE, which is what they're doing. Is Trump's not even doing mass deportations, actually. He's mostly going after criminals and people who have violated an immediate removal order and who are just hiding, you know, and he's going after them. And basically, again, they're all non-citizens, right? They're people who are illegally here in the country. This Gestapo, the actual Gestapo, is targeting American citizens, right? That don't share their political views. So there we have the morph into the Gestapo. What else we got tonight? I'm a little bit sick, so I'll probably log off pretty soon here. I got some bronchitis. I was at work the other day, and I was helping. I do customer service in apartments and stuff, and I was helping these two old ladies, super sweet. But they were in the office for like an hour. I was helping them find an apartment. And then at the end of the hour, one of them starts coughing, and her friend's like, "Oh yeah, she has bronchitis." I was like, "What? What? You're just now telling me this? I've had the door closed the whole time. Bronchitis, you don't want to mess with that. It's horrible." So anyways, I did do a leg day today still, but I've been like, it feels like when you go for like a sprints and your lungs are burning, it just feels like that walking. But anyways, okay. So we got that. Insurgency. Yeah, people calling the, this was just somebody on Twitter noting that the group Signal chat, I guess this guy has experience in the intelligence community. He says, what we're seeing in Minnesota is closer to insurgency than a protest. I think that word's really accurate, an insurgency. Protest doesn't feature thousands of people on comms tracking law enforcement to sabotage operations while armed or using vehicles to ram officers. What we're seeing is highly dangerous, coordinated, and risks escalating into something deeply damaging to the country. So this is why I think, again, you saw Tim Walz reach out to Trump today and say, hey, we're willing to work with you, right? Walz released a statement about his discussion, by the way. It seemed like total BS. Let me see if we can pull it up here on his account. Here's Tim Walz's version of events. I told the White House the state must lead the investigate. Wait, here we go. Where is it? Oh, he's like retweeting stuff. Here, hold on. He has a statement from today. Oh, God. He must have some intern. He has just a funny statement about it, but I guess they're just retweeting stuff all day. I can't find it. Never mind. Anyways, his version of events just sounded sus. Let's see. Oh, whatever. Okay. Anything else? Why are you guys so quiet? Huh? All right. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's mostly it for tonight. Just updates on that. This was a cool... there was this guy, Alex Hunold, who did a free solo climb of this building in Taiwan, I think it was, Taipei. This is just him. I guess there's like people in the office building as he's climbing. This, like, watching this gives me anxiety. Like, even just watching it online. I can't believe these guys do this. Watch him.
That is crazy. Oh my God. That is insane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hope you won't fall. Oh my god. Don't look at it, don't look.
You got your selfie? Kind of. Took a video. On my Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome. Louis doing it. I got get my shiny. Hopefully it doesn't pop.
That dog is so big.
My God, my legs are shaking.
Space.
Like, I understand high-level performance and being locked in on stuff, but how do you honestly, like, keep focused in those situations? If I were there, my intrusive thoughts would kick in and I would just jump off the building. I can't handle it. If I'm ever, like, near a ledge, like, my immediate reaction is, like, I feel like my brain's going to convince me to jump on accident. I can't handle it. I don't know how this guy does this stuff. Here's just back to the Tom Homan stuff. I forgot to bring up this article. This was the Daily Mail reporting on the whole situation that Tom Homan pushes the Border Patrol out of Minneapolis in the shakeup. And it's got a little blurb about how Trump spent hours on Sunday and Monday watching cable news coverage and was unsettled by how the administration was being portrayed. He did not like Noem. He didn't like them saying that Peretti intended to massacre federal agents. I think we can kind of tell that's not the case. I went over this earlier. Didn't like them branding him as a domestic terrorist. Anyways, I'm tired. That's about it for tonight. We went over the news. I'll be back tomorrow night.